him twice. Joe, Joe. You say Joe. Hey, Joe, Joe. Hey, I have a great privilege to talk to you guys today, and we don't have a ton of time, and I have so much I want to share with you that I'm just going to kind of come at you in shotgun form. And what I mean by that is it's going to be a whole lot of information all at one time. And I hope that you can absorb it, and I hope it stays with you. But more than anything, what I really hope is that today you'll walk out of here with a couple of new tools that will help you in the decision-making process that you all face when it involves sexual activity. I hope that you'll have new tools. I really believe what I want to share with you is some of it is not brand new, but hopefully it's put in a new perspective of thinking, and some of it I hope will be brand new. And you'll go, hey, that makes some new sense to me. Young people were surveyed by USA Today. They did a weekend report. And USA Today found, of all the young people they surveyed, 63% of those young people said that they felt like they don't get enough information on the topic of abstinence. In fact, they said that they felt like the safe sex message actually promoted sexuality and sexual activity. I gave a presentation, and I give many throughout the school year to many high school students, and here's a letter right here that was given to me that was actually written to another individual that goes into schools and does presentations, and her presentation is more of a safe sex than an abstinence presentation. And here's a letter that a young person wrote to her and gave me a copy of it. It said, "Thank you for coming to talk to us. I learned a lot about birth control methods and how to know if I have cancer or not. It would be nice to hear more about abstinence, though." And that just affirms what USA Today found in that report. I want you to know that I'm not coming in here today and I'm not going to stand up here in front of you and go, "All right, that's it, don't have sex." Because you guys would go out the door. I'm not going to do that. And I also want you to know that I'm not coming in here today down, down, sex is bad, bad. No, sex is good. I have 4 children. I have 4 children. John over there has 3 children. So between us, we've had sex at least 7 times. Not. You're a sick young man.
You said it.
No, I want you to know that sex is good, but there's a place for it, and there's a role for it, and there's parameters that it fits inside of. And if you practice those parameters, then you get all that it's meant to be. But when you step outside of those guidelines and you break those barriers, that's when you open yourself up to some consequences that really today are life-threatening. And not just physically, but emotionally. And we're going to talk about those emotional situations today as well. Let me start out by asking this question. Why do people have sex? You tell me. Why do people have sex? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't know, do you? Why? You guys tell me. Come on. Because love? Okay.
Lust.
Lust? Good answer. Pleasure? Feels good? Is that where you're headed? Okay. Anything else? Ma'am?
Boredom.
Boredom! Boredom! I'm bored. What do you say? What is that? Just another boring Friday night. Okay. Kids and boredom. Let me tell you this. That USA Today did another survey, and they found that 80% of the girls and 50% of the guys had sex for the first time out of pressure. 80% of the girls, 50% of the guys. In fact, feels good or sexual gratification was the 4th most common answer, not even in the top 3. Number 1 answer was pressure. That same 80% of the girls and 50% of the guys said that they regretted ever having that sex. Now, I have to ask the question, when 80% of the girls and over half of the guys, or half of the guys, say that they had that activity because of pressure and that they regretted that activity, I have to ask, where does that pressure come from? What is the cause of that? Peer pressure is exactly it. Peer pressure, but you know, I think really in sexual activity there's two styles of pressure. One is what I call locker room talk. And you guys all know what I'm talking about. Guys in the locker room, I mean, sometimes it goes a little bit on the lines of, "What'd you get?" Come on, man. Or it'll be on the other end of it, it'll be, "You dated her and didn't get any? Oh, man!" And girls, you can't abstain from this. Locker room talk happens with girls, too. I mean, it may not be as graphic, but it happens. And girls, locker room talk with girls takes place in the lunchroom, takes place in the cars, takes place over the phone. I mean, it's true. Happens in the halls, in notes, you know, little, I mean, and guys, and it happens differently. Guys, you know, they describe a girl, they go, "Oh, look at that woman." You know, girls go, "This guy, little, but it happens, and it causes pressure. It does. The other kind of pressure that I really believe is the single most strong point is dating. I really believe that. All of you are either in the dating process or have already been hurt by the dating process or just wish you could get in the dating process. But dating really is the #1 area where that pressure comes from. Because ask yourselves this question, think about this. I don't know anyone ever that has honestly ever one time had sex without starting out with a date. I mean, now they may have left their home alone, but they went somewhere looking to find someone to hang out with. It's in that atmosphere where the primary pressure comes from. I want to talk to you just a little bit about dating and some of those influences. Because see, that's where the drugs and the alcohol really have an influence, is in the dating scene. That's where decisions are made under the influence and they're not wise decisions. Okay? There's jokes about how the drunker you are or the higher you are, the better looking the opposite sex is. And however much that's joked about, unfortunately, there's some truth to that. We lower our standard when we allow that influence in. Girls, I want to talk to you a little bit about dating, and I really mean this. I hope that you'll listen closely on this and utilize this. It really is important for you. When that guy communicates with you that he'd like to date you, however he does that, if he talks to you in the hall or he phones you up or he sends his best friend to tell you that he likes you, or if he writes you a note, you remember, "I like you, do you like me?" Mark the box, yes, no. However he communicates with you that he'd like to date you, and you decide, yeah, this is someone that I'd like to date. And girls, it's tough on guys. You don't understand how hard it is for a guy to make that phone call. We practice like 8 times before we actually make the call. I'm really fortunate and glad that my name wasn't John, because I would get myself messed up. I couldn't be like John over here. I would mess up because I would get so nervous on the phone. I'd call him up and go, "Hi, this is Movie. You want to go to John with me?" I mean, it's tough duty. But girls, when you say, "Yeah, this is the guy that I'm going to date," I'm going to give you some tips. When that guy shows up to your house, if he pulls up in front of your house, assumingly in a car, I mean, I ask people, "What's the average dating age?" People say the average dating age is 12. I say, "What? But you show up on your bike? Get on." The guy shows up in front of your house. If a guy pulls up in front of your house and he just honks his horn, don't go out to the car. Just wave out the window. Make them come to the door. And when they go out to your car, if they don't open your car door for you, if they just go around and get in their side, let them drive off. Wave again. And here's what I'm telling you. Make them be gentle. Cause them to be gentlemen. Have them have a planned date. If you say to this guy, "What are we going to do tonight?" and he goes, "Well, we're going to go here and here and here, and I'll have you home at this time," that's awesome. If you say to the guy, "What are we going to do tonight?" and he goes, "I don't know," there's a problem. At the end of the night, when your date is over, and if he doesn't get out of his car and come around and open your door for you, if you have to get out by yourself, you get your dog to pee on his tire. Listen to me, ladies. You are exactly that. You are ladies, and you are valuable. And you need to be treated like that. And you need to expect that treatment. Unfortunately, in our society, we don't allow you to expect that. You are precious items that deserve to be treated like precious items. And you need these guys to be gentlemen. You need to set that standard. And don't get involved with the drugs and alcohol that cause you to lower your standard. And I'm telling you something right now. If you are in a relationship right now where you are not being treated like the lady that you are, you need to get out of that relationship. And if the guy has a problem with that, have him come see me. I would be more than happy just to meet with him and explain to him your value. You need to set a standard and don't accept anything less. Guys, I'm going to tell you something, and I promise you guys, if you'll practice what I'm about to tell you, might help. Guys, at the end of the day, you've had a well-planned date, and you've been a great gentleman. And you've opened the car door, and you're walking her up to the door of her house, and you know the moment your heart is going... and you get her up to the door of the house, and here's the deal, guys. I'm telling you, stay with me on this. When you get up to the door of the house, don't kiss her. Just say thank you, maybe hug, shake her hand, walk away.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you something. When you get back to your car, look on the porch, because she'll still be standing there going... But, stay with me. Call her the next day and say, hey, I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed last night. And here's what you'll be saying. You'll be saying to her, you know, I dated you because you're someone and not something. You'll be saying, you know, I dated you for who you are and not for what I could get. You'll be saying, you know, spending time with you was so important that I put my desires to the side. And I guarantee you guys that that statement, that phone call, will have a much larger impact on that young lady's life than any goodnight kiss you can ever lay on her. And if the ladies in this room are honest right now, they'd be saying, mm-hmm. I guarantee you guys, I guarantee it. If it doesn't work, I buy you a pizza every day for a year. I guarantee it. Ladies, make them be gentlemen. Set the standard and don't do anything that will cause you to compromise it. Guys, exercise self-control and try to make a statement to a lady emotionally rather than with your physical hormones. That's what I'm talking about on dating. I want you guys to give me some physical reasons to wait to have sex. Physical reasons. What are they?
20 STDs.
STDs. Right. Sexually transmitted diseases. What else?
Pregnancy.
Pregnancy. Very physical reason. Any other physical reason? AIDS. Part of the STDs, but yes.
You might not be ready.
May not be ready. Okay, that's kind of an emotional, and we're going to talk about that. Huh? Rape situation, physical reason to wait. Yeah. How about the abortion issue? I'm not here to tell you if it's right or wrong. I'm here to tell you it's a physical procedure. It's a physical risk. There's physical reasons to wait. Let's talk about STDs a minute. How many are there?
52.
It's actually 56. It's on the rise. There's 56 sexually transmitted diseases today. Okay? I want to talk about those just a little bit. What I'm about to say to you, the next statement I'm going to make to you, I want you to hear clearly. I'm going to say it 2 times at least because I want you to get it in, okay? Of those 56 STDs, there are 20 of which there is no single form of contraception that prevents them from being passed on. Did you catch that? There are 20 STDs of which there is no single form of contraception that prevents them from being passed on. 20. That's from a study done by the Minnesota Department of Public Health. That's frightening to me. At least 7 of those 56 cause some kind of cancer. Cervical cancer or skin cancer. 7 out of 56. Genital herpes Gang, genital herpes is passed on by simple skin contact. Skin contact. Okay? We're talking at the base of the penis where no condom covers. Skin contact. Genital herpes is passed on. At least 5 of those STDs can remain dormant in your body for up to 15 years, never show themselves, never manifest their symptoms, and still be passed on sexually. The similarity is like the common cold. Everyone in this room, everyone in this school, everyone you've ever met has had the common cold. And it's a virus. And there's no cure for it. I mean, right now you may not feel like, you have to sneeze and blow snot all over and cough and have the bad head, but the virus is in each of us right now, although the symptoms aren't manifested. And there's no cure for that common cold. And 5 of these STDs operate in a very similar manner. They can remain dormant in your body, not manifest their symptoms, but they can be passed on sexually, unlike the common cold. The granddaddy of these is what? AIDS. We already talked about that. I want to show you a little bit about how this works. They have done a study where they showed 1 sexual encounter, and this young lady received 5 STDs. 1 encounter. With the STDs being able to remain dormant in your body for up to 15 years, you see, here's what happens. You have 1 sexual encounter. Now today they say the average sexually active person has 2.8 partners. I don't understand the 0.8. Somebody leaves their legs at home. Hey, don't bring your arms tonight. I only need 0.8. So we'll round that to 3, okay? So the average sexually active person has 3 partners. Now, you just had 1 sexual encounter, but because these diseases can be passed on for up to 15 years without ever manifesting themselves, it's no longer 1 sexual encounter. You just had sex with every person that person's ever had sex with, and every person that person has ever had sex with, and every person that person has ever had sex with, every person that person has ever had sex with. Times 3. It just keeps going. It's no longer a one-time deal. It's 15 years of history from now on. You guys are not safe. A study that I just got a copy of was done, a 17-year-old young girl. They discovered that she had herpes. And they followed the strain of her herpes as far as they could follow it. They found that she had 4 partners. She had infected 4 people. They found that by following the strain of those 4 people, that this 17-year-old girl was responsible for the infection of 3,000 people. 3,000 people. Now let me tell you something, an honest answer is no guarantee. How do you know that? Do you think that whoever that number 3,000 person was had any clue who that 17-year-old girl was? He had no idea, or she had no idea, whoever it was. An honest answer is no guarantee. When Magic Johnson came out with his statement back in 1992 where he said that I am HIV positive, what the media did is they splashed that in front of us, and actually they paraded him around, but what they didn't do is they didn't take the second half of his statement on that same newscast where Magic Johnson said, I don't know where I got it, I don't know how long I've had it, and I don't know who I've been with since I got it. His honest answer was, I don't have HIV, but it wasn't the truth, because he didn't know. How many of you guys or girls remember Tommy Morrison? I have an article that I photocopied out of a Sports Illustrated here. Tommy Morrison is a former heavyweight boxing champion. Okay? Headline here says, I have never been so wrong in my life. I want to read you just some pieces from this interview with Tommy Morrison. Tommy says he was a relentless partier, a determined womanizer who took advantage of every possible sexual opportunity, and there was always opportunity. Tommy says, my priority was getting laid with the overflow of women. Tommy and his entourage would pull up in a limo, loaded up with women, and then they'd all take turns. Tommy says, I could tell you what safe sex is, but I never once practiced it. He says, there are so many women out there, too many. The shame seems real. It's estimated that Tommy Morrison slept with hundreds of women and didn't know that he was HIV positive. The problem is, those hundreds of women may now be infected and don't know, and they have slept with hundreds of men, who have slept with hundreds of women, who have slept with hundreds of men. An honest answer is no guarantee. And let's go to the heat of the moment where the passion is flowing and the clothes are flying and the windows are fogged and the dashboard lights are all you can see and you're breathing heavy and you say to the person you're with, do you have any STDs? Think they're going to say yes right then? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. An honest answer is no guarantee. Do you know what AIDS is right now? You can know this. AIDS is 100% fatal. What else is going on out there? Here's an article out of a magazine, World Magazine, November 8th of 1997. This article I cut out, it's in reference to a young man named Nushan Williams. You may have heard about it. It went nationwide. Nushan is HIV positive, and he targeted girls from 13 to 24 years old, and he would trade them drugs for sex and never tell them that he was carrying HIV. And those girls, who knows who they've been with since. When I say to you the words safe sex, what comes into your mind? Condoms. I want to talk about condoms for a minute. Condoms, in some studies, have shown up to a 50% failure rate. In some studies. Some studies have shown less. When it comes to pregnancy, condoms have a 14% failure rate on the average. In fact, teen pregnancy girls, 1/3 of all teen pregnancies, some form of contraception is being used. Whether it's the pill, or an IUD, or the sponge, or a male condom, or a female condom, it doesn't matter. Norplant, 1/3 of the time when a teen is pregnant, some form of contraception was in use. And let me tell you, girls, about teen pregnancy, the deck is stacked against you when it comes to that. Do you girls know that 83% of the time, the guy is gone? That's Missoula. In Missoula, out of 100 teen births, 83%, 83 guys were not present at the birth of the child they were responsible for. That's huge. And the welfare changes and adjustments that are coming down are only cutting the financial aid that's available to you ladies. Teen pregnancy is a huge risk. Of all the different forms of contraception, they all have a pregnancy failure rate. All of it. And that includes vasectomy and getting your tubes tied. There's a failure rate. After our 4th child, my wife got her tubes tied, and the doctor sat me down and said very clearly, Russ, I want you to know there's still a 2 to 3% chance that she could get pregnant. There's still a failure rate. Consumer Reports in 1989 did a survey, and they found that 1 out of 4 condoms were breaking during use. The New York Department of Public Health had to recall 750,000 faulty condoms. You think they got them all? October 22nd, 1997, Ansell Personnel Products, 57 million condoms were to be recalled. Why? It says right in here, Ansell discovered that some condoms could deteriorate before their expiration dates because people were calling in and telling them they were breaking. These 57 million were already distributed. And people were already using them and finding them to deteriorate. And so then they're going to have a recall. Do you think they're going to collect 57 million condoms? There's no way. This study done right here, this is by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. You can see that it says that it's on the effectiveness of condoms by our United States government. They talked about the effectiveness of condoms in this study. In this study, when it comes to female condoms, let's talk about female condoms. You see, people can argue and say, well, they aren't put on properly, and that's why they're breaking and slipping during use. Okay, if that's true, guess what? They're still breaking and slipping during use. However, in a female condom, the United States government did a study. They did a 12-month study on 147 women, who use the condom consistently and correctly. Consistently and correctly. 26% failure rate. We've also been told that non-oxynol 9 has an effect. This same study on the same page says that no studies have shown that non-oxynol 9 used with a condom increases the protection provided. No studies show that. The male condoms. Several studies clearly show that condom breakage rates in this country are less than 2%. So if you have 1,000 condoms, that's 20. That's still a pretty scary risk. In the same study, it shows that condom manufacturing has a minimum standard. The minimum standard is this. Out of a batch of 1,000 condoms, 4 can break. That meets minimum. Through their testing standards, if 4 or less out of 1,000 break, that batch passes inspection. Now, what if you get one of those 4? Let me put it to you like this. I'm flying an airplane. Got 1,000 of you with me in the back. How y'all doing back there? Got 1,000 of you? Okay. Hey, there's 1,000 parachutes. Put them on. We're going to jump. On the count of 3, everybody's out. Okay. 1, 2. By the way, 4 of those parachutes are not going to open. 3. What would happen? Nobody would jump. You may push the guy out in front of you. Oh, only 3 left. No, nobody would jump. And you're taking the same size risk right here when you buy a 75-cent item out of the bathroom of a mini-mart. The girl, some guy's probably packed in his wallet for a couple weeks so the heat could cause deterioration to begin. I have a chart right here, and I would love to hand it out. I don't have authority to copy it yet. I'm still working on the copyright of it. But I want to show it to you, and I want you all to get a good close look at it. Do you see that little tiny black dot right there? I want to make sure that everybody sees that little tiny black dot right by my finger, right there. There's a square next to it, but I want the little dot. I want you all to see that little tiny dot. Is there anybody in here that can't do it? I blocked it with my finger. See that little tiny dot? Everybody? What's on this page is items that have all been magnified and exploded the same number of times. Hundreds of times. Okay? This is the human sperm. That little black dot is HIV. This is failing between 2 and 25% of the time for pregnancy. When it's something this large, how often is that getting through?
Every single time.
Come on, exactly. This little dot here is called herpes simplex. This is the syphilis worm. These little bean-shaped items is gonorrhea. They're all several hundred times smaller than the human sperm. Please don't talk to me about the safety of condoms. One study that was done with a latex glove made out of the identical material as a condom. The glove was put into a vat of HIV-infected blood. They pulled the glove out, turned it inside out, and tested the inside of it. In that study, they found that 5 full microns of the HIV virus had penetrated the entire thickness of the glove. Okay? A little bit of math here. 5 full microns had penetrated the entire thickness of the glove. The HIV virus measures 0.05 of a micron. 5 full microns penetrated the entire thickness of the glove, when the virus itself measures 0.05 of a micron. How many viruses penetrated the glove in one exposure? That's one study. What are the emotional reasons to wait to have sex? We've talked about dating a little bit. We've talked about the influence of drugs and alcohol a little bit. We've talked about the physical reasons to wait. We've talked about condoms. What are some emotional reasons to wait to have sex?
Regret.
Regret. Very good. Regret. Loss of self-respect. Emotional beliefs. Exactly. Emotional. What else are emotional reasons to wait?
The guy might leave.
Hmm?
The guy might leave.
The guy could ditch you. What did you say? It's a maturity level. Okay. Anything else? Emotional reasons? Let me take you here. You see, in our culture today, sexual activity, when it's taken outside of its parameters, can be taken to a point that's called reprobation. Now, reprobation basically means to have a burned out conscience. Sexually. And it's a growth process from here to here to here. Today, you can rent videos of people having sex with animals. Now, yeah, exactly. But those people didn't just one day wake up and say, today's the day. I'm going to have sex with a dog. No. What happened is somewhere back in their lives, they took their sexual activity outside of the arena that it belongs in, inside of the creative parameters that it's supposed to be in. And today, what seems abnormal to you and I seems normal to them. It's a growth process. Let me prove it to you right now. I'll show you right now the growth process. Guys, you guys, I want you to take a trip with me back in time. We're back in time. We're sitting on the front room couch, thumbing through the Sears catalog. I got bras in this book. Huh? What'd you do? You called your pal. Check this out, dude. Bras. But that got a little boring. So what'd you do then? Flip a couple pages. Panties! I got panties in this book! Come on, guys, stay with me. Remember the first National Geographic you ever saw? Here it comes. But even that got a little boring. So then what you do? You move on to the Penthouse or Playboy. Fold out. What? It's a growth process. It's a growth process. And emotionally speaking, girls, let me tell you something. Guys have a photographic memory when it comes to sexual stimulation. Right here. Boom. Every guy in here can draw back to that National Geographic.
I can't.
Yeah, oh, never mind. Girls, emotional reasons to wait. Do you really want on your marriage bed for the person you've just committed your life to be comparing? To be saying that she doesn't look like this one did? Emotional reasons to wait. Guys, ladies are more sexually stimulated with their emotions and feelings. It's an internal. Guys, do you really want to run the risk of on your marriage bed that's individual you've just committed yourself to says he doesn't make me feel like the last one did? And you can't tell me that it's not an issue, because it really is. Every day, hundreds of people are in counseling because of the sexual luggage they've packed into their current relationship. I've had guys say, Russ, I can never go to bed alone with my wife because images of past women run through my mind. The comparison issue is a very real emotional issue. How about deception of family and friends, trying to make them think that you're not currently active? Emotional reasons to wait. I don't want to end this on a down note, so I'm going to tell you this. It is never, ever, ever, ever too late to start waiting. It is never too late to start waiting. Never too late to start waiting. John's going to hand out a survey in just a couple minutes, and on that survey, there's some questions. And every time I give this presentation, usually it's a young lady who will write, thank you for the presentation today, but it's too late for me. It is never too late to start waiting. Here's a headline from the Orange County Register. It says, abstinence, the new sexual revolution. Young people, it's sweeping the country among you that are making pledges to abstinence and saying, I'm not gonna do it anymore. Family Research Council out of Washington, D.C. did a study, and I have pages, copies of pages of the study. But this study is really summed up in one paragraph. I want you to hear this, because I want you to know that you're not alone should you decide to start waiting, or you're not alone if you decide to continue to wait. Out of this whole study by the National Family Research Council on teen sexual activity, the proportion of high schoolers who have had intercourse at least once went from 59% in 1989, okay? 59% in 1989 to 36% in 1994. It dropped 23% in 5 years. Because you're not alone. And it's not too late to start waiting. It's never too late. I want to show you one other survey. This survey was done by the same Family Research Council, and on the back of the survey they've listed their points of reference. There's 24 different points of reference from this study alone. Just to let you know the largeness of this study, are any of you familiar with the magazine called Red Book?
Yeah.
Women's magazine? Red Book report, just that reference alone, talked to 100,000 women. And 1 out of 24 references covered 100,000 women. This is a very large study that was done. And this little pamphlet talks about that whole study, but it's all really summed up in this graph right here. The bottom line. Do you know who the most sexually satisfied group of people in America are today? People who waited and have sex inside of marriage. Do you know who the most sexually unsatisfied group of people in America today? People that are single and have sex as often as they like are the most unsatisfied. People that are having it all the time, according to a huge national survey, are the least satisfied group of people in America today. And I'm going to squelch another myth. There's a story, there's two of them really. One says, well, I want to gain experience. Let me ask you something. Girls, when a girl is sleeping around, not just girls, guys too, when a girl is sleeping around and sexually active, what kind of a label does she get? Slut or negative connotation. When a guy is sleeping around and sexually active, what kind of label does he get? Now, would you call that negative or positive?
Most people think that's positive.
Exactly. What is that? Same activity, girls get a negative label, guys get a positive label. That is so wrong. It's incredible. It's amazing. But let me take you to a point here. Ladies, I'm going to ask you a question. No, I'll ask the guys first. Guys, how many of you guys, in all honesty, want to marry that gal that's been sexually active, sleeping around? You don't know who with, you don't know her history, but you want to marry someone that's been sexually active. I want you to raise your hand. Girls, look around. Flip the coin over, girls. How many of you guys want to be with that stud Mac Daddy? Man's been between the sheets, knows what he's doing. Always sporting a midnight trampoline in his wallet. You know the guy. How many of you girls honestly want to marry a guy that's been sexually active? Raise your hand. In all honesty. Look around, guys. See, it's not too late to wait. You will care on your wedding day about who that person is then, not who they were as a freshman or sophomore in high school. You still have to talk about this. Unfortunately, you young people aren't free from this. This has to be a topic of discussion. I could ask another question. In all honesty, when we go back to dating, in all honesty, how many of you completely believe you will marry someone from this school? You really believe you'll marry someone from Stevensville High School? None of you. So why are you dating? Why are you putting yourself in a position to compromise? You know what the odds are of high school sweethearts getting married? Do you know how many get married? 1%. 1. Why even run the risk? Hi, I'm Russ Smith, the Executive Director of Youth for Christ here in Missoula. Thanks for watching today's presentation.
The information you receive during this presentation is factual, it's common sense, but it's also based on very godly principles. I'd like to invite you to take this to the next step, and not just to practice abstinence, and not just to practice godly principles, but to get to know the God that gave us this gift of sexual activity. See, we as man were created by God to have relationships. He wants us to have those relationships, and every relationship is designed, as I said in the presentation, to be inside of a certain set of parameters. Ultimately, he wants a relationship with us, which is why we're here. Unfortunately, we have fallen in that area, and we have chosen to not have that relationship, and that's called sin. And that has separated us from God. And man has tried many ways to reach God, and we try to solve that inside mystery of why we seem to be empty that consumes us sometimes. And we try to fill that void with drugs or money or success or sex. But none of that will, eternally. Only God can. But he solved that problem. You see, Jesus Christ came, God in the flesh, and he died on the cross, and then he rose again. And he did that so that you and I could have a relationship restored with God, even though we've sinned. The only thing we need to do is respond to that relationship. I'd like to challenge you to respond to that relationship now. If you'd like more information about this, you can call me at 721-6533. Or if you're near a life-giving church or have attended one in the past, I'd encourage you to get a hold of your pastor and talk with them about this relationship. Because through knowing God, following his principles really becomes much more simple. And aren't we all really looking for a much more simple life?